Welcome.
Welcome back to another episode of Flirting and Farting with the Shalas. I am LaBianca.
And I am Shakim.
And you, of course, are two littles here. This episode, we're going to be talking about healing the inner child and what navigating codependency into individuality looks like, the heart of marriage. And did I cover it?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, how healing the inner child links to the heart of your marriage, which the heart of the marriage, I feel like, is communication, spirituality, and connection. So, but yeah. So as far as healing goes, I think I kind of been spearheading this for a while. So what healing looked like for me, it was different because at the end of the day, like, I didn't know anyone doing the things that I am doing now to heal, like therapy. I think we spoke about this in earlier episodes, but therapy is something that's been pivotal for me. Not having things that I needed growing up made themselves evident once I started having my own children. Mm-hmm. And once I realized that that was affecting me and my lifestyle and how I was growing as a man, it was something I had to dive into that. I really had to dig deep into understanding what healing looks like. It's going to be different for everybody. Like, therapy might not be your thing, but therapy is definitely something I'm an advocate for.
And I think the one thing that I would like to touch on what led you to therapy. It's with Jaira and with the feelings you were feeling that led up to. Yeah. Because I think identifying when it's really time to check in with somebody, a professional, I think identifying that will be very helpful for people. What were you feeling that led us to being like, okay, it's time to go talk to somebody?
So I think this is when we was working at AYN. You know, it's a mental health facility for children, and me being about to be a father and not having a father growing up, a lot of things started to really emerge in that 2020 year. You know, that was when the George Floyd situation was happening, when all the riots was going on.
And we're about to give birth to a black son.
And, you know, black brothers is dying every day on the streets and stuff like that. And I'm about to bring in a king. You know, I'm bringing in a black man into the world. And it was like, dang, how am I gonna have these conversations with him? And I've never even had the conversation with my own father. Mm-hmm. So that, and then I started having panic attacks. Mm-hmm. And it was really, really, really rough.
Or traffic, or
wherever I was at, like if I was stuck in traffic, or if I was in new spaces and stuff like that, it really started to make itself evident. So
I think how you put it, that your therapist helped you put it into words, it was like you were a shaking bottle of soda, and it just kept shaking and shaking and shaking with each
and it explodes.
Trauma a point where it's getting to a point where you're literally about to explode. You're on top.
Because not only that, now, you know, I'm coming off of I would say, like, survival's guilt, because I'm not homeless no more. And so you got a lot of these things boiling up in me, and eventually I just burst. And once I got to therapy, I remember my very first therapy session. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I sat down with him. You know, I was real anxious to sit down and have a conversation. Literally sat down for he literally just asked, hey, hey, Shakim, it's great meeting you. What would you like to talk about today? I just burst into tears for 5 minutes straight. I just felt a release, and which now I understand what releases are and how much they are needed. I had a super release. I had to get all that energy off of me. I had to get all the thoughts that I was having off of me. I really needed that. And that's what therapy did for me. It helped me talk to someone outside of my wife and friends that was unbiased, didn't have a history with me and none of that, and I can just talk to about whatever. Another thing that I started doing was meditation. I've been meditating for 3 years strong now. And how I see meditation, I know a lot of people, some people don't like meditation.
I don't know if they don't like it.
They don't understand it.
We're taught that meditation is supposed to be us sitting in silence and quieting your mind. And the truth about meditation that we've learned is that it's more so sitting in observation of yourself and your thoughts and not judging those yourself or your thoughts rather than sitting in silence. And it allows you to be present with spirit. It allows you to be present with your God and yourself to really be able to just be.
And like I said, I've been doing that for 3 years now. And how I see therapy as well is it's my time, like my undivided time, like nothing interrupts it. Like I feel like if you're going to give and pour out to people throughout the day, you need to have some time for you so that you can be able to pour out to people. And I just do like a 10-minute, sometimes 15, 20-minute meditation, guided meditation on YouTube. And I just sit and analyze and just go through my thoughts. But I say that to say, like, meditation is another technique that you can use to help in the healing process for you. Another thing that I just got into not too long ago was yoga. Yoga is a really good stress reliever, a really good way to help you. And how
meditation and movement is what I like to.
Yeah, meditation and movement. Yeah, I like that. But all of these different techniques, there are multiple things. There's different supplements you can take that help you kind of get into a meditative state or to help get you into a place to where you can sit quietly and reflect. Because at the end of the day, I feel like meditation, yoga, therapy are all great components to healing yourself and healing the part of you, the inner child that that didn't have a voice as you were growing up. So, what about you? What has healing the inner child look like for you?
So for me, I think mine started a little earlier than I even realized, as far as like writing spoken word and poetry and getting on stage and delivering that. That's been very therapeutic throughout my life. Early, I have some poems from when I was even 10, 12, and I can look back at those poems and it was very much therapy. I would say the things that I couldn't say out loud. And I think that's a form of journaling that is very helpful in healing your inner child, being able to get your thoughts on paper. To a non-biased, non-judgmental source where it's just you and your thoughts. It's been very helpful, as well as I've also gotten into therapy, being able to have a sounding board, someone to sort your thoughts through. It's like a filter system. You filtering your thoughts through your therapist, and it's that way they can clean them and give them to you in a more
palatable way.
Yes, or even a more non-judgmental way, because sometimes we are our biggest critics and we don't give ourselves enough grace. Invalidating experiences for you and helping you put them in proper perspective, helping them put them in proper boxes. And that's been very helpful for us, for both of us, therapy as well as yoga. I am not as great at prioritizing. I'm working on it when it comes to making sure I get my time. But when I do and I'm able to, my whole day shifts with yoga. Even us doing it together, I really cherish the moments when we get the opportunity to do yoga together. So those things, healing our inner childs, have been very, very pivotal for us in our marriage as well, being able to have those tools, because therapy gives you tools. Yoga gives you the remembrance to be present, because you have to be present in those movements. Guided meditation is something that I actually shared with you, and I share with everybody because I didn't know where to start or how to start. But learning that there was guided meditation, I've also started teaching sensual movement meditation to women to get in tune with our bodies. A lot of the times we're so in action all the time that we even forget to embrace our bodies, to celebrate our bodies, what it's doing for us. So the sensual movement is a form of meditation that I love as well. Being able to be in my feminine, and really, for me, being in a Southern Bible Belt, that was a part of my inner child that was demonized, and it was not normalized to develop in that way as a young girl. That's something that it doesn't get talked about until you become an adult, and now all of a sudden you're trying to figure out things and about your body and all this stuff. So the sensual movement allows you to really just feel out yourself, get in tune with yourself. It's been very healing. And going to twerk fitness has helped heal my inner child.
Like doing something fun that you
fun. Yeah.
I feel like the only way you're going to be able to have a thriving marriage is you got to embrace the individuality that comes with being human, being, understanding I am Shakim. I can only be my best Shakim if I continue to work on me and heal myself and grow in these areas so that my children don't fall in the potholes that I fell through.
And even more than that, a lot of the times when we don't heal our inner selves, our marriages suffer.
Right.
Because we speak from a place of trauma and triggers, and those lenses can be shaded or not clear because we're taught you did something that triggered a memory or something in my DNA, and I feel hurt and I don't like that. But being able to identify those triggers, being able to heal that side of you, really allows your marriage to strengthen as well, because now I can tell you, oh, I know why I responded that way, or this reminds me of this.
Right.
Like
we can have those deepened conversations.
Yeah, and understand each other at a deeper level, and even help each other navigate. Like even raising our children in a way is healing inner children wounds in us, because remember when Jaira was having a meltdown and you hugged him. Yeah. Like that was a healing moment for you, because we were not given the space to feel our emotions wholeheartedly. Yeah. Like negative emotions frowned upon. Like you don't act out, you don't scream, you don't do none of that. So giving our children the space, because we want them to be emotionally intelligent, but the only way they can do that is by navigating their emotions. Right. But when you didn't do that as a kid, it's triggering when he starts screaming. And it's like, oh, shoot, the inner child in us is screaming like, oh, no, don't do that. It's not safe. But in that moment, sitting and being present with yourself, regulating your own emotions so we can then help him co-regulate, has been healing in itself. Right. And
it's not easy, as it sounds like.
No, healing is ghetto. Yeah. Like we make it, a lot of people will romanticize it, heal, go to therapy, do yoga, and it looks cute and aesthetically pleasing on Instagram, but it's hard. It's a roller coaster. Is it beautiful on the other side? Yes, but after you get to the other side, it's always unfolding. So you're never really truly done. You're always with the growing and healing process, which I'm learning. Like there's seasons to it. Like we have our fall, our winter, our spring, our summer, just in the healing aspect, just like in your marriage, and like we replicate what's going on in nature. Right, the cycles. Things. Like it's a cycle, and you have to be willing to flow and unfold and go with the balances and unbalances of it all. But healing individually strengthens the core of your marriage, because now we can understand each other more.
Yeah. And it kind of ties into having emotional intimacy.
Yes. Spiritual intimacy. Because for us, we see meditation as a form of spirituality too. Sitting present, being, creativity is a form of prayer for us. So like really incorporating all of those things, like me writing spoken word and performing, you being able to be present for that moment is, I love sharing those moments with you. Because number one, they're healing. I'm expressing myself, but it's also a spiritual moment as well. I feel, because though those words come through me, I'm also a vessel at the same time.
Right.
But at the core of it, if you don't heal, you won't have the proper tools to communicate and navigate your marriage.
Right.
Or you're going to always be speaking from a place of hurt.
That's why you got, like, couples have to be on the same page when it comes to, like, their journey in marriage. Because if one person's healing and the other one isn't, it's going to be
grow each other.
That's where you separate. That's where the separation begins, is when one starts growing, the other one not growing or not intentionally trying to grow. And that's something me and La have been really intentional about. That's one of my favorite words, is intentional. And that's what was intentional about, okay, we're going to grow together. We're going to do this marriage thing.
If we're going to break generational curses,
then we need to do the work. We need to heal. And we don't want to leave. We don't want to leave behind a bad legacy.
And we don't want to leave debt. And debt is more than financial. Debt is also the spiritual aspect, the emotional baggage. That's debt that I just do not. The things that we are unlearning and healing from, they should not be unlearning and healing from, because we should be passing those lessons along.
Right.
And that's what we're working towards. Like, we even talked about our children getting into therapy early. Like, middle school was hard therapy. Like, being able to voice how you feel, to process your emotions, process your thoughts, I think would serve us well in our marriages.
Right.
To have healthy, thriving marriages, you have to have conflict resolution, processing, critical thinking. Like, those are influential and important and vital skill sets to have, and something that we're still working on and getting better at. I mean, we're only in year 3 of marriage. We've been together 11 years, but really making sure we have the tools and resources, building our marriage toolbox with books, podcasts, therapy resources. There are nonprofit and free resources out there. Open Path is one of them. That's where we found your original therapist, where you don't have to break the bank. It doesn't have to be unaffordable. It doesn't have to be unattainable. There are ways to get the help you need for your marriage, for yourself,
for your relationship, like, because they got couples therapy as well. Like, don't sit in the issue. Like, if you need a third party, like, go to therapy.
I encourage getting in therapy before the issues arise, because that's one thing we talked about, like, we're doing individual therapy, but we desire and look forward to doing marriage therapy, counseling, because we don't want the little things to become mountaintops or too big either. And though we are communicating, there's some things where I know for me it's harder to sometimes say, or to come full out and be like, I don't know how to word this. So being able to process it with somebody would be very beneficial. Having the tools, because we look up tools and resources for ourselves, but getting somebody in there, it's like taking your car to a mechanic. You want to make sure it's a well-oiled machine. So I'm looking forward to us doing marriage therapy, counseling together.
It's all maintenance.
Yes, especially with child number 3 coming on the way. Oh yeah, we're getting in marriage counseling therapy, family counseling and therapy, so we can make sure that we have everything at our disposal. We're leaving no room for, I don't want to say the word failure, but we're leaving no room for the enemy to come in and steal what we're creating, for our legacy to fall by the wayside. We do the work now, so later on it's nothing but fruitfulness. So inner child healing is important to maintain that marriage, having the resources you need. And don't forget, if you need the options, they're there. Books, podcasts, Googling free nonprofit therapy options. Open Path is one of them that I know off the top of my head. It's there, and it's okay to be the one that leads the way. Sometimes your spouse might not be ready, but leading by example, like sometimes when I forget to meditate, just simply saying Shakim, sit in meditation, reminds me, and it gives me encouragement, because I love seeing him do that. So it's like, thank you, because I forgot, or I haven't been pouring into myself,
right?
Or just somebody has to lead the way and do it, even if that looks like you going to therapy by yourself first, and then your partner. I know a very close friend of mine, she went first, and her husband was not for it, and he did not care for it. But after seeing her change, her grow, her joy, eventually coming around and getting into it himself, highly think it's important.
Just keep an open. I feel like you guys just keep an open mind when it comes to marriage, and evolving your marriage into what you want it to be and what you want it to look like. You have to be open-minded, because it may not be from point A to point B. You may got to go from point A to point F.
I'm right here.
But you may got to go to point A to point F to point C to then point D, like to get to that point. So yeah, just always, marriage is it's gonna have its ups and downs, but you just gotta understand you are a team. It's you two versus the problem.
That's not the subject.
No, but I know, but I'm kind of like putting it all together. I'm like wrapping
all the episodes.
No. I was just not wrapping it up, but wrapping it all together, like just when it comes to the heart of a marriage.
Okay.
You know, but honestly,
heart of the marriage and healing the inner child.
Yeah, like you have to heal you first if you're going to have a fruitful, healthy marriage and relationship. You got to heal you. It all starts with you. So it's my 2 cents.
Yep, I agree. That heart of a marriage, like you said, is healthy communication, critical thinking, and navigating conflict. And to be able to do that, you first have to heal the inner child wounds first.
Yeah.
So I think that's Jaira. I know you want dinosaurs. That is all.
That's it. Thank you.